Devin Neal is the top waiver wire pickup going into week 13. We'll tell you why he could be a league winner next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Welcome back. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is the Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're talking about all the players that you need to pick up from your waiver wires going into week 13. We'll talk about the top quarterbacks available, some receivers that can help you out as we get closer to the fantasy football playoffs. But let's start at running back, Fabs. Who is the top running back that you should be picking up this week?
It's definitely Devin Neal. Alvin Kamara suffered a knee injury last week. He wasn't able to return. We're not exactly sure right now what his status is. The injury is not considered serious. Doesn't mean he won't miss time. And listen, Kamara's done. I mean, he's been a great fantasy running back. He's been a great real running back, and we've all enjoyed and won championships with him. But he's 30. I mean, this is kind of the thing that happens to running backs. And so Devin Neal's a rookie out of Kansas. The coaching staff's real excited about him last week. He had 5 catches. He scored over 11 fantasy points in limited work. And I think he's probably going to end up being, if he starts this week against Miami, in that low RB2 flex conversation in what's a plus matchup against the Dolphins.
And we should mention from like a dynasty perspective, I think Alvin Kamara is done. I'm with you on that. We'll see if he comes back in 2026. But if you're the Saints, it's like, what's the point anymore? You might as well just play the young kids. And Devin Neal was and Devin Neal was a really exciting prospect who fell to the 6th round because this was a loaded running back class, but he's a big guy that can run between the tackles. I'm really excited to see him in a future role because I won't be surprised if he takes the next 6 games, looks great, and all of a sudden he's a starting running back going into 2026. So this is a big-time opportunity for him.
I think you also have to factor in that you're going to see Taysom Hill as a running back as well. He had double-digit carries last week. So this could be somewhat of a committee situation, which seems odd because Taysom Hill plays, every single position. It seems he's kind of that Swiss Army knife. But Neal is definitely the guy that you want this week if you're looking for running back help.
Let's go to some other running backs. And I want to start with a big name, Isaiah Pacheco. Andy Reid, actually, right before we came on the show, he announced that he will be starting this game against the Cowboys. He's been out for the last couple of weeks with a knee injury. I know Isaiah Pacheco might not be available in all of your leagues. In your dynasty leagues, probably not. But is he somebody that you feel comfortable starting this week against Dallas?
No, but I feel comfortable having him on my roster as backfield depth.
Okay.
Over the last 2 games, since the Cowboys have acquired Quinnen Williams, Ashton Jeanty did nothing on the ground. Saquon Barkley did nothing on the ground. And so I don't particularly love any of the Chiefs running backs, on Thanksgiving Day, but it's all about depth. Like, you never know when a running back's going to go down. And even though Pacheco's not really been great since the first half of last year, he's a depth piece. It's the same kind of thing as like, we run out and we grab like a Bam Knight or a Michael Carter. Maybe Trey Benson's going to be back this week. Maybe he's not. So it's depth, right? And then also you've got to make sure that you're handcuffing your studs. Ashton Jeanty maybe isn't a stud at this point, but he got a little ding last week. So if you got to go get Raheem Mostert just to make sure. Devon Achane, he got a little ding before the bye week. He's good to go though. But I mean, that was a little scary for a second. You want Ollie Gordon. Dylan Sampson actually had a pretty good game this past week. And maybe Shadeur Sanders is going to utilize him a little bit more as a pass catcher, as like a security blanket than any of the previous quarterbacks did in Cleveland. So, he's worth looking at. And also, if you have Quinshon Judkins, Sampson is almost a must-have because you want to make sure that you're handcuffing one rookie to another.
One more running back, Chris Rodriguez for the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
It seems like he's starting to at least take over that backfield a little bit with the Commanders. Is he somebody that you should be putting a big bid in for this week?
I mean, at this time of the year, there's not going to be a lot of running backs available on the waiver wire who are starters. And Rodriguez looks like he's going to be the starter now for the Commanders for the rest of the year. In that game before the bye, he had 5.3 yards per carry. He had 79 yards. It wasn't great, but he's definitely past Bill Krosky-Merritt, who's, I mean, that's done. If you're in a redraft, you may as well just cut him. And I don't love the matchup this week against Denver, but still, again, depth. You know, sometimes injuries happen and you want to make sure you have some running back depth. So Rodriguez is definitely worth a look. He'd be the next best running back option behind Devin Neal.
I want to go over to the tight end position really quickly. Theo Johnson, I don't know what's going on with this Giants quarterback situation. And honestly, we've got two quarterbacks that are dealing with concussions right now, Jackson Dart and CJ Stroud. I don't know if you saw the latest report on Monday from D'Amico Ryans, Fabs, that Stroud is still in concussion protocol after missing 3 games. It seems like Jackson Dart might be trending in the same direction. Do we think these teams are just being overly cautious now with concussions compared to maybe what we grew up where, hey, you could get one on Sunday and still play the following week?
You can get one on Sunday and go back in the game. I mean like,
look about our quarterback from the 90s, Troy Aikman. I mean, how many concussions did he suffer and still played through? Yeah,
exactly. So I think the Giants would be smart to be cautious. I think the Texans would be smart to be cautious. Although the Texans maybe have a little bit more to play for than the Giants. They're not going anywhere.
Well, it also helps that Davis Mills is playing well. I mean,
He's playing really well.
Not that he's playing better than Stroud, but he's playing well enough that you don't feel the need to rush him out there if he's not 100%.
Right, exactly. So in the first week, you had mentioned Theo Johnson. He only had 4 targets. This past week, it was a little bit better, but that game was kind of nuts. Where, you know, I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson went even bananas in that game. So a little bit crazy of a scenario there. I don't know if Jackson Dart's coming back yet this week. We just don't know. And that's a Monday night game against the Patriots. So it might be hard to decide whether or not you're going to start Dart unless you have Jameis Winston, for example. But I still think Theo Johnson, you know, you look at the last 2 months. I mean, he's been better than most tight ends. He's been more consistent than a lot of tight ends. So he's definitely a player that I want. I mean, the big win this week would be Brenton Strange. Brenton Strange came back. He had missed several weeks due to injury. And what does he do? Lead the Jaguars with 93 receiving yards. And Trevor Lawrence has always liked to throw the ball to his tight ends. I mean, he just has. I mean, remember Evan Engram a couple of years ago? He just likes to throw the ball to his tight ends. And Brenton Strange is the newest guy. And he was one of my favorite sleepers at tight end coming into the season. And he was playing well. Then he got hurt. He missed a lot of time. Well, now he's back. And so, you know, he's going to be someone that you definitely want to look at off the waiver wire. If he could end up being a starting tight end in fantasy for the rest of the season. You know, the rest of it's thin. You know, I mentioned Taysom Hill. I think he's worth rostering. He had double-digit carries last week. So if they're going to utilize him and Devin Neal in the backfield, then Hill, you hope maybe he scores a touchdown and potentially you don't have to worry about it this week. There's no buys, but next week there's 4 and then we're done with them. So, I mean, Taysom Hill is also worth a speculative ad. There's just not a lot of tight ends that are realistically out there on the waiver wire that I love right now. I mean, you could throw, Colby Parkinson in that mix as well. But I don't know if you're playing Colby Parkinson right now.
No, I don't think so. We should mention Colston Loveland continues to put up big numbers with the Chicago Bears. He might be available in your redraft leagues, but from a dynasty perspective, Fabs, it was Tyler Warren to start the year by a good margin. Tyler Warren was, I believe, tight end 3 behind Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. Over the last 5 games, and again, that's not a small sample size, but Loveland's outproduced Tyler Warren. Now, I don't know if that's going to continue. There was a huge game against the Bengals, but Loveland has looked pretty good. And I feel very confident. If I'm doing my dynasty rankings right now, Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland are both top 5 guys. And I'm not sure yet which one I would rather have. I'd be happy with either.
I'm still on Warren. I've been a Warren guy ever since he came out of college and landed with the Colts. So I'm going to stick with him. Loveland's matchup's not great this week. I will tell you that. If you look at the numbers, that's the Black Friday game against the Eagles. And we'll talk about that on Friday with Stardom and Sid'em. But I don't know that Loveland's going to be available in a lot of leagues. When I looked at Sleeper, which is where I do the percentages for redrafts, 45%, 40%.
Yeah,
But I'm
I was
guessing
more just talking
most
about from a
competitive
big
leagues
picture.
he's gone.
Yeah.
But he could be floating around out there too, no doubt.
Yeah, and I was just talking about more big picture. Like from a
Yeah,
dynasty perspective, these are two of the
he's been
top 5
better.
guys moving forward. All
Yeah.
right, let's talk about some wide receivers that you could pick up this week and play in week 13. There's actually quite a few of them, including John Metchie. We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's not a better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, or if you just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next bucket to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late game push. The basketball has been fantastic to start the year. I mean, I know we're only 15, 16 games into the season, but the quality, the games, the matchups, they've all been lights out. And right now, you can get in on the action because FanDuel is offering a fantastic deal. FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We'd also like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. Fabs, let's talk about some wide receivers because there's quite a few that are out there that you should be picking up. I mean, I think the most obvious name is Michael Wilson. I have to believe he's picked up in every single league. But if you're in a shorter bench league or a smaller league, that's the guy that you're absolutely rostering.
Yeah, and we don't know what Marvin Harrison Jr. status is just yet, as it's early in the week. But as long as he's out, I mean, Michael Wilson's a must start. And again, we talked about this yesterday. Why can't Marvin Harrison Jr. do this? You know what I mean? Like, he's the first round guy. He's the guy with the pedigree and the dad who's a Hall of Famer. But we'll see what happens when and if he comes back this week. Christian Watson's probably the most attractive wide receiver. He's probably not available in a lot of leagues, probably about half of leagues. And he didn't have a huge stat line last week, but he still led the Packers with 7 targets and 49 receiving yards. And he's got the Lions on Thanksgiving this week. So, I mean, it's a good matchup if you're looking maybe for a streaming option.
Can I ask you something real quick?
Position. Yeah.
Do you like having guys on Thanksgiving to root for? Because I've always defaulted to, like, if it's close, I want to have somebody on Thanksgiving just to root for and rack up points. And it can be stressful, though. That guy has, a 6 or 7 point game, and then you feel like you're chasing points all week long.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, well, with 4 games before Sunday this week, I mean, there's a good chance you're going to have a bunch of players, and especially that Cowboys Chiefs game's got a whole just boatload of fantasy stars. And so we're going to be starting a lot of players from that game. There's no doubt about that. The Bengals are also playing on Thursday night. And so Andre Yosevich is someone that you can also pick up. Jamar Chase is going to be back, but T. Higgins is out because he had the concussion last week. And Joe Burrow's coming back, which is good. So, Yosevich is someone that if you are desperate, if you're in a bigger league, maybe you could pick him up. He actually led the Bengals in receiving yards last week. And again, Joe Burrow's back. So, I mean, that's nothing but a good thing.
And Yosevich is somebody that Burrow has always loved and always has given him, targets on third down and then in the red zone. I would expect the Ravens to do everything possible to double Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to leave guys like Yosevich and some of the tight ends open. So I don't think it's a bad play. Although the only thing I'm concerned about is that I think there's a chance this Raven Bengal game is very low scoring. I just don't know what to expect from Burrow in his first game back from injury.
Low scoring. Okay. I mean, Lamar Jackson is still not right. And so I think we need to keep that in mind too, that he's just, something's not right with him, lower body. We know something's going on. So that's another thing that we're going to have to find out about, on the surface. Oh, this is a great matchup. Burrow, Lamar, it should be a smorgasbord of fantasy points.
It's not going to be like what we saw last year, where both these games were like in the upper 70s, right?
Yeah. I mean, Lamar was, hadn't been great the last 2. He hasn't scored more than 8 points in the last 2 weeks. And Joe Burrow's coming back for the first game in a while. So we'll see what happens I'm not starting the Bengals defense. I will tell you that right now. And I don't think anybody's going to be thinking about starting them this week regardless. Another wide receiver that I like, though, is Chimere DK for the Tennessee Titans. It looks like he's their one now. Right? I mean, earlier in the year, it was Ridley, and Ridley's off for the season now. DK goes for over 21 points last week. He tied Gunnar Helm, believe it or not, for the lead in targets on the team. And he's had 16 plus points in 3 of his last 5 games. So DK and they're playing the Jags this week. The Jaguars are not great against wide receivers. So DK is somebody that you can go out and grab it and potentially play this week. There's a few more. I don't love Jaden Higgins' matchups the next 2 weeks, Colts, Chiefs. But, I mean, he's seen at least 7 targets in 3 straight games. He had 9 last week. And he's like the clear 2 now behind Nico Collins. And, the rookie is starting to come into his own here. And then one other player, Greg Dortch. If Marvin Harris, we're talking about Michael Wilson glowingly, and we should be. Have you seen what Dortch has done? I mean, 6 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown last week. He has scored 16 plus points in 2 straight games. He's been targeted 15 times. Look what Jacoby Brissett can do for a wide receiver. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And so if Harrison's not playing, then Dortch is somebody that you could pick up. And then here's a name. And we've talked about John Metchie as in the past, oh, he's a sleeper and blah, 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 blah. He's never lived up to expectations, right? He's the one now for the Jets. And I know it's the Jets, but he had 7 targets last week. He scored over 18 points. He's had 32 combined points in the last 2 games, and he's got Atlanta this week. And Atlanta's defense, AJ Terrell, up and down in terms of, what they could do against wide receivers. But, remember Ted McMillan had a massive game against them a couple of weeks ago. John freaking Metchie suddenly has fantasy value at the wide receiver position. If you're in a deeper league and you need help, you can go ahead and pick him up.
I wanted to ask you about the Bills wide receiver situation because they play the Steelers this week, and that Steelers defense has been so up and down all year long.
Yeah.
This is a game in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh generally plays better at home. Khalil Shakir, I mean, if you got him, I think he's a flex play. But is there anybody else in this passing game? We don't know the status of Dalton Kincaid. It doesn't seem like he's likely to play. Anybody else that you can even put into your flex spot and just cross your fingers?
I mean, Tyrell Shavers, maybe. I mean, it's the ultimate dart throw. I'd probably be. I'll say this. I think I'm starting 3 Bills this week, and that's it. Josh Allen's a no-brainer. James Cook is a no-brainer. And then Shakir, maybe. And I don't even love the matchup for Shakir, but I'd still probably play him where needed. The Bills off. If Dalton Kincaid is out again, why am I playing Dawson Knox?
You're not.
I'm not going there. So there's not really anybody unless somebody just hits on a long touchdown, something like that. But
Gabe Davis, any Gabe Davis resurgence?
I mean, no, I don't trust Gabe Davis. I mean, after he burned us when we thought he was going to break out after he had that bananas game in the playoffs against the Chiefs so many years ago, I'm kind of off of Gabe Davis. There are a few other wide receivers real quickly that you can potentially go out and get. Parker Washington's still available in 40% of leagues and redrafts on Sleeper. I don't know if Brian Thomas Jr. is coming back this week, but Parker Washington had a good game last week. Luther Burden, Pat Bryant's got the Commanders this week, although Troy Franklin is going to be one of my sleepers. And if Jameis goes again, Isaiah Hodgins has had 2 decent games in a row, better than Darius Slayton last week. So, but again, I mean, that all depends. If it's Dart back, I'm not going with Hodgins, but Jameis has a little, love thing going on with Hodgins in the passing game.
All right, let's talk about some quarterbacks that could and probably are available in your fantasy leagues. Is it time to pick up Shadeur Sanders? We'll discuss that more next.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it because it also helps you correct your form in real time and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Podcast. 2 shows every single day, one in the morning with Tyler Rowland, one in the afternoon with Tony Wiggins, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's finish up with some quarterbacks here because there are a lot of backup quarterbacks that are going to be playing. And listen, Fabs, this happens every year. We get to Thanksgiving weekend, and it's shocking the names of the quarterbacks who are on the field. Most of the guys that you're going to mention here probably aren't going to do much for you. However, every year there's 1 or 2 of these guys that pops that will end up helping you either get to the fantasy football playoffs or win a fantasy playoff game. Who do we got this week?
I mean, I got to mention Jacoby Brissett first, and he's still out there. 49% availability on Sleeper. Like, folks, I mean, not to make a stupid dad joke, but are you sleeping? Like, the guy's been amazing. 18 plus points in every single start he's made for Arizona. In competitive leagues, he's long gone. But I mean, geez Louise, go out and pick this guy up. The rest of the quarterbacks are kind of like you mentioned. I mean, if you're in a deeper league, like I could see starting Marcus Mariota. I don't love the matchup against the Broncos, but until Jaden Daniels comes back, Mariota's at least decent. His floor is okay, right? 14, 15-point floor. Okay, that's good. Tua Tagovailoa, and I get it. He's been just a crapshoot, but he's got like one of the easiest schedules among quarterbacks the rest of the season. He's got New Orleans this week. I mean, we've seen Tua put up good numbers. I get it. Inconsistent, but still, the facts are the facts. I've got Shadeur Sanders on the list. Do I believe in him as a fantasy option? No. Did what he said after the game kind of turn me off? Yes. Come on, dude. It wasn't you that won that game. Jeez Louise, stop it. I mean, you stink statistically. Do something. Come on, dude. I know. I don't like that. I'm not going to get into that. I like
Shadeur. I want him to thrive. And I'm really glad that he is starting this week.
Just go out and say, hey, you know what? I did what I could for my team. Yeah, I whatever. We won the game. You beat the freaking Raiders, right? I got to be honest, I kind of hope the Niners show him his lunch this week. Anyways, but he's definitely worth picking up. You mentioned Davis Mills earlier in the show. CJ Stroud's still in concussion protocol. Davis Mills has not been bad.
No,
this year he has not been bad. They've got the Colts this week. Tyrod Taylor was he was all right. 14 points last week. He's got Atlanta this week. Baker, which is a bummer to me, is got that shoulder injury. I don't know if he's playing this week, but Teddy Bridgewater is a veteran guy who,
okay.
I mean,
I'm out on Bridgewater. He looked so old and so bad.
I'm
a fan of Bridgewater, but
what's funny is that he's doing like those commercials.
I know,
as like the backup quarterback kind of thing, and now he's actually going to play. Like the other guys were like, Tommy DeVito. And then, you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Max Brosmer. Oh. If you are in a super flex league, if you are in a dynasty super flex league, if you just like pain, you could go ahead and pick this kid up. He is an undrafted rookie quarterback out of New Hampshire. Okay. You know what New Hampshire is known for? Skiing, not football. Okay. And snow. All right. I will say this. If Max Brosmer starts for the Vikings this week, the Seahawks defense is going to literally score 50 points against him. That is going to be, and JJ McCarthy stinks. And imagine what this kid's going to be. You want to talk about a deer in the headlights. Forget about it. So Brosmer is a guy that that league that I'm in, the crazy dynasty with the super, he's already picked up, which is insane to me. I dare you to start him. I mean, I dare you to do it. But he may be playing. I wonder if JJ McCarthy was looking at his stats and everyone's comparing him to Zach Wilson. And then on the team bus, He's like, Coach, my head hurts. I think I have concussion syndrome. I'm just saying, maybe he doesn't want
Okay.
to play. I joke, I kid, but I mean, buh. You know,
I got two questions for you on Max Brosmer. Number one, what is the funnier outcome, that he comes in and looks awesome, or he's like way worse than McCarthy?
No, I think the funnier outcome is if he looks awesome. Imagine if like Justin Jefferson goes for like 110 and 2 tutties against Seattle with Max Brosmer.
Okay.
That would be crazy. The Vikings have the worst quarterback situation in the entire league. And last year they had Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. So, I mean, the Vikings, their front office, they're sticking their head in the ground right now. I'm like, we don't want to talk to anybody. But yeah, good luck with Max Brosmer this week. Start the Seahawks defense and enjoy the fantasy points.
Last one. I'm in a really fun league where if you have a quarterback, so interceptions are worth -4 in this league. Okay. But if your quarterback throws a pick six, it's actually, you get 2 points. So Joe Flacco is like the best quarterback to have in this league, right?
Matt Schaub would have been great.
That's what I was saying. Now that Flacco is back on the bench, is Max Brosmer like one of the top quarterbacks this week?
What kind of drunk league are you in?
It's fun. It's that way. That way, if an interception happens, now you're suddenly rooting for them to score and not get tackled at the 1 yard line. It's a silly league, but it's fun.
That is silly. That is definitely silly. I will be watching. I have my Steve Largent jersey on today, by the way. For those of you watching on YouTube, the Seahawks are wearing these glorious beauties this week against Minnesota. That's going to be one of the better uniform matchups. But I mean, Seattle's going to win that game like 42-0. Like I'm telling you right now, they're going to kill the Vikings if Brosmer is the quarterback.
Can I give you a fun Steve Largent stat?
Love it. I want it.
Okay, there you go. This is one time we get to do a little bit of NFL history. I don't think people realize that by the time Steve Largent retired, he held the records, the all-time records for receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Like when he retired, he was considered the GOAT wide receiver.
Dude.
But nobody thinks of him that way anymore.
I loved Steve Largent. He and Jim Zorn, the lefty. Trust me, there was a time in my young fandom as a Dallas Cowboys follower where like Steve Largent was like legit my favorite player in football. And he obviously wasn't a Cowboy. And what's crazy is that Largent came into the league with the Houston Oilers. And the Oilers got rid of him. And he ended up being a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest wide receivers of all time.
Crazy. He wasn't big. He was like 5'10", 180 pounds, maybe.
Yep.
There you go. Little history lesson that you didn't ask for. That is it for today's show. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. Go check out the channel on YouTube. Download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. And we will see you right back here tomorrow.